Delivery dates of a $1,400 fourth stimulus check specifically focused on the low income, including Social Security, retirement, disability, SSDI, survivors, SSI, VA, and RRB beneficiaries. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in this video. Let's get right into it. All right, now this is a question that I continue to see down in the comments section every single day from many of you right here in this community asking, when are we going to get it? When will it be delivered? When will it actually arrive? How much is it going to be? Who is going to get it? When will I receive it? And the questions go on and on and on. Now, these are some really, really good questions, and as requested, I do want to talk through all the details about this and answer your questions for you right here in this video, as I totally get it. Money is tight right now for a lot of people. In fact, the reports are showing that the vast majority of Americans right now are living paycheck to paycheck. So let's get into it and discuss all the details about this, because things have changed in a pretty big way as of recently. So let's get right into it. However, really fast before we do, thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting the button right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, always has been and always will be. I'm here for you right by your side every single day, doing all the research, breaking it all down into these short videos so that you can stay updated with everything going on right now during this very busy time. And I'm watching everything closely so that anytime something comes up, whether it pertains to money, benefits, checks, stimulus, programs, anything else like that, I want to make sure that you know about it immediately so you can always grab your share of the pie. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get right into this. All right, so as I mentioned, a lot of things have changed in a pretty big way as of recently. So let me talk you through some of the details as far as what has been released as of recently and some of these reports. Now, first off, these are not my words of what we're going to go through right here. These are the reports that are being released as of recently. And again, this is some big stuff that we need to consider going forward for the reasons that I'll give you here in just a second. First off, I quickly want to talk about a new report that was just released a couple days ago talking about the president's approval rating. Again, if you've been watching the videos here on the channel for any length of time now, I do not take sides politically, but rather I do give you the information that is being released in all of these reports. Well, the latest report is coming out showing that the president's approval rating is 39%. This is actually the lowest rating that he has had so far in his presidency, even though he's been there for a little over a year. So giving the benefit of the doubt, it's at 39%. However, 56% of the people, again, respondents for these surveys, are showing that they are disapproving of the president's job right now. Again, these are not my words. These are the words out of the reports that are being distributed right now, okay? So that is one big factor that we need to take into consideration. Now, a new report that was just released yesterday is also showing 87% of people, that's a huge percentage, by the way, 87% of people right now are saying that they disapprove of how the president and the administration are handling the economy and inflation right now. Meanwhile, 13% of people said it's doing pretty good, right? So again, these are some pretty big numbers. Now, also, I want to run through a couple other reports and a couple other things that have come out recently that, again, we need to kind of keep in our back pocket and remember, because this is all very important stuff. Yesterday, we got some new reports talking about the stock market. We got some new reports coming out talking about the housing market. Things are slowing down. So I don't want to get into all the details about those reports simply because if you want to hear about those, I have a video from yesterday talking about the details out of the housing market, the stock market, inflation, and this potential stagflation that we're going to be entering into right here, right now, according to some very educated and basically high impactful and influential people basically on Wall Street and hedge funds, stuff like that. So the people that watch this stuff very closely are saying that we're essentially entering into this massive stagflation period of time. Now, again, you might be wondering, okay, who cares? What does all this have to do with getting us a $1,400 stimulus check? Here's where all this wraps into like one big kind of little bundle. And this is all, like I've said before, this is all highly correlated. So why you got to watch all this stuff very closely here. So here's what it comes down to. We do know that the midterm elections are coming up here in a matter of just months. Now, the reason I bring that up is because this is going to be a major backstop when it comes to any major pieces of legislation coming forward. The reason I say that is because they have a few different approaches here. Either it needs to be completed, as in the bill has to be written, it has to be worked its way through Congress and passed and signed by the president before the midterm elections. That is one option. Or another option could be the bill is written, it's working its way through Congress as we approach the midterm elections. That would almost be as good as passed. Obviously, passed and signed and everything done by the president would also obviously be the best approach. But again, maybe that's not the case. However, a second approach could be any type of bill or piece of legislation or reconciliation bill, which we do know for a fact that they do want to do another one of these before the midterm elections, is also very important. So, even if the bill is written and it's working its way through Congress, that'd be close to the same effect as it being actually passed through Congress. So again, this is another option. The other option could be passed through Congress, but rather not signed by the president, okay? Not quite yet by the midterm elections, because here's why. Depending on what is actually included in that bill, whether it contains a stimulus check or not, this would be very, very important because as we know, we've heard this many, many times from many Democrats. And again, the reason I say Democrats is because they are in full control of everything right here, right now. The House, the Senate, and the presidency. So they want to maintain that control. Now, here's the thing. Depending on which happens out of all of these scenarios, or maybe nothing happens. That's another scenario too. Maybe absolutely nothing happens. And if that's the case, well, the midterm elections are totally up in the air at that point, right? Well, they're pretty much all up in the air right now anyway, but I'm just saying that's not really going to be the best solution for Democrats if they want to maintain control. So here's what we do know that they want to do. They need to get any of these scenarios kind of through going forward into the midterm elections, because what's it going to mean for the American people in the event they have a bill that's either passed and signed by the president, a bill that's working its way through Congress that has some promising provisions, or a bill that has worked its way through Congress and just waiting the signature from the president. Any of these scenarios would be viewed as a big, big win from the American people, us, especially if this bill does contain anything in it like a fourth stimulus check or anything like that. Kind of makes sense? So again, you might be thinking, okay, again, I don't really care. I just want to know when we're going to get it. I totally understand. We're trying to get to that. But you kind of got to run through all these details here to better understand the current environment and the current situation that we're currently going through as of right now, okay? So that's why you got to kind of understand all this stuff, because there's a lot of moving parts here. All right, so when it comes down to it, again, as requested by so many of you here in the community, wondering when are we going to get it, how much is it going to be, who's going to be included, when will it be delivered, when will we get a deposit, all of these questions that I continue to see down below every day. These are great questions, by the way. I totally get it. Many people are wondering, when are we going to get additional money right now? I totally understand that. Now, here's what it comes down to. And again, I want to make this very, very clear from, right now. As of right now, a fourth stimulus check has not been approved yet, okay? I want to make that very clear so that we're all on the same page and so there's no misunderstanding. A fourth stimulus check has not been approved yet. However, we do know that Congress has talked about many different instances over the last couple months. Even just, a week ago? Not even a week ago? We had that one Democratic senator, Jack Reed, out of the state of Rhode Island. I brought you that video of him speaking from the Senate floor about a week or so ago, talking about that one-time $600 stimulus check per person and $1,200 for a married couple. The Food and Fuel Family Savings Act. Remember that one? We talked about it maybe a week or so ago when he was on the Senate floor talking about it. But anyway, when it comes down to it, these are some of the things that we need to continue watching, because any of these potential approaches would be viewed as a win going into the midterm elections for the American people, right? It'd be a win of, kind of in our view, and it'd be a win for Democrats as well, because then they could say, hey, look, we've delivered for the people, right? Or we're in the process of delivering for the people. Now, as I've mentioned in previous videos, in the event of a fourth stimulus check actually being approved, here's when it's going to come down to, and again, I have no clue what they're planning, if they plan on passing something, if they don't, or what's it going to include, what's it going to look like, all those provisions. But here's the thing. In the event that they do actually pass one, I would actually be on the side saying that they're going to pass something that would be highly, highly, highly focused, okay? It's not going to be one of these broad stimulus checks that goes out to nearly 300 million people or 85% of the population here in the United States. No, we've been down that path before, and we may be dealing with some of the consequences of that right here, right now, with all of this rapidly rising inflation. Again, depends who you ask, depends what side you look at, depends which articles you read, depends who you listen to. But again, I like to look at the argument from both sides so that I can kind of go into all this with kind of a level head thinking, okay, this is what one side is saying, this is what the other side is saying. But a lot of people out there right now are saying that a lot of this stimulus that was sent out over the last 2 years now is the reason why we're dealing with all this inflation. But here's the thing. If they were to send out another stimulus check, again, it'd likely be highly, highly focused on the low income, focused on the fixed income, the people who really, really need it right now, not the person who doesn't need it and plans on just plowing it into the stock market or going out and buying, just some discretionary items. Those are the people that don't need it. It's the low income, it's the fixed income. We've talked about all that before in separate videos. So anyway, these are some of the things that are going on right now. Another thing that I want to throw out there as well. We do know this much. Over the last couple of years here, when they did send out the stimulus checks, for those people who didn't need them, they plowed all that money right into the stock market. Well, what did the stock market do over the last, I'm going to say, 2 years? Now, of course, since this year has started, it's been pretty much kind of going down the whole time, but the first, say, year and a half or so, after the first round of stimulus checks went out, what happened to the stock market? Well, it was like going to the moon, right? And beyond, right? It was going up a ton. If you happen to be watching it, it was up a ton. It just went up and up and up all the time because all that money was just being pumped into the stock market, right? For those people that didn't need it, they just kept buying stuff, right? So that's kind of one of the other things too, is if this market continues to roll over and if it actually happens to go down significantly, and if we do happen to go into a recession, the best way that they can actually pump this market back up and, of course, the economy is, of course, go down the same path that we just went down, which is sending money out to the people and advising us, please go out and spend the money. They've done this before. They did it back in 2008, 2009 during that the collapse of the stock market then. And again, we could potentially see it happen once again here in the event this happens to get way worse going forward, which likely, according to what I'm reading and everything that we're seeing here, it's probably going to get a lot worse before it gets a lot better. So anyway, there's a lot of moving parts right now. There's a lot of things that are kind of coming home to roost right now. Like we've talked about before, a lot of things are really hitting the fan as of recently, and I certainly want to keep you updated with that. But anyway, for those of you that have been asking down below, as requested, I hope this gives you a better understanding of what is going on right now and what it's kind of looking like as far as a timeline, as far as potential dates, or what I should say mostly is just kind of timelines as far as delivery of potential stimulus checks. In the event that they were to do something like this, again, depends on how fast they were to work something through Congress. Totally depends. If they can get it through Congress quickly, we know that they can historically deposit checks within about 7 days after it is approved by Congress and signed into law by the president. Usually about 7 days, sometimes even less than that, is all the longer it takes for them to basically push the button and get money out into the pockets of people. We've seen that before. The last couple stimulus checks here, generally they go out within a week or even less. So it's a very fast process. They can get it done relatively quickly when they decide to do that. So that's my point, is it really wouldn't take all that long. It all mostly depends on Congress. How quickly can they get one of these bills through? Is it a reconciliation bill? We do know that those take a little bit longer, right? Because they have to go through special rules and things like this. But generally those can be sent out. It takes a little bit longer to get through Congress, but once they get it done, it's a pretty fast process, a matter of just a few days. Anyway, for those of you that have been asking, I hope this helps to better understand the situation right now. Of course, I'll continue watching everything very closely. As always, I'll continue to break it down into these short videos and help you out in any way that I possibly can. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media. And of course, go back and check out some of the other thousands of videos right here on the channel. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Things are changing very rapidly every single day, and I'm very much dedicated and committed to being here right by your side every single day to help you out and to make sure that you're staying informed with everything going on. Thanks again, enjoy your day, and I'll catch you again later in the next video.